So that was in 47. When we came with no electricity, no bathroom, no inside toilets, with a few cows, and we used to milk them in the under-house chippen, and with storm lanterns hung from the ceiling, and all the milk was to carry up to the dairy adjacent to the house, where it was cooled and into churns, and then we used to take it down to the road end, a few churns, and put it on the milk stand at the road end. Well, every farm in the valley actually were putting a little bit of milk on in those days. I think there was 12 in Rusland, and probably as far as Ulster. We were all milking a few cows, and so times have changed in that respect, where I think now there's only the one out of those 12 that produce milk.
Did you used to plough with horses then at school?
Yeah, everything was done by horses. We used to stitch the potato stitches up with them.
Mm-hmm. Of course, one of the big things was ploughing competitions, wasn't it?
It was,
yeah. And when you saw how straight some of these guys could actually plough a furrow, you'd have a huge field with all these guys and separate piece of ground to plough. Utterly amazing.
Did you do a ploughing competition?
Just one. It was down at Roos. I have a photograph of me ploughing actually that day.
How did you get on?
Oh no good.
We had lost everything in 2001 when Foot and Mouth was, so you got paid out, so you got some money. I know it was awful, and I kept thinking, what on earth am I going to do, because I'd never done anything.
How many sheep did you lose?
I'd done about 300 or 400, and 40 cows and calves, and because all the cows had just finished calving, so all them went, and I kept thinking, what on earth am I going to do? I've never been out to work before. What am I going to do? And I got this money, so then I could buy half at farm off our dad, because Grandad had left me his half. And then I could still, there was grants then for barn to be done up and that, so you could start working your way doing up, and I got a job and I went out to work.
Did you come with cows and equipment?
Raymond's father had a small milking herd of 17 cows. We brought those with us, and we also brought 200 sheep. And this was in lieu of the wages that Raymond hadn't been paid from leaving school at 15 to come in here at 26. So it was a good start. Raymond used to go out working for other farmers. One of them came to us a week after we moved here. I've got a lovely Lyle heifer. We bought the cow off him. It was a red Friesian. We nicknamed her Nervous Nelly right away because she didn't like a brush going near her feet. So if you went to sweep the muck off around her back end, out would come the feet. And she did as well. She calved on the 11th of November every year for the following 8 years and produced a heifer every time. She was well worth having. The £50 she cost. The young farmers no longer exists now, but when our girls were little, they had 90 members in Rusland, young farmers. And they used to come in from Lowick and Hawkshead and Bowth and all round. That disbanded about 25 years ago.
When we had a pig killing here, it was a very, very busy time. I don't remember the actual pig killing, but the kitchen would be full of awful things boiling, which was turned out to be brawn or potted meat, and lots of lovely sausages, of course, and the hams were hung up to dry. And where my toilet and washer and all that is, there was sconces that were for salting the pig before it was hung up, and the hooks where they were hung are still there. Used to be difficult to get down the lobby when there were one hung at either side, you know. So yes, we had bacon and sausage, which was fine. Pig's trotter and brawn were not.
We just had 2 horses, and everything was done by horse. Everything was done by hand. All the ploughing and the green crops and everything, all that was worked up by horse.
So once when you were talking, you said when you first came, you had nothing, I think is the phrase that
Well,
you used.
yeah, very little.
Were you talking about equipment or animals? And that was...
Well, everything really. Money in particular. Yeah, everything was done by horse power, as I say, and everything was, you know, carted in and out with horse and carts. Cart muck into the fields, and it was all put into little heaps about 7 yards apart each way, and then we used to go and spread it by hand at a later date. We kept building the number of cows up. The shipping just held about 23. We could tie, they're all tied up by the neck. Everything, all the hay and straw was in the barn above. And in winter we used to just have to put it down, like a hole in the floor into the fodder gangs, and all the turnips and mangels, they were in a building behind the barn as well, underground. As I said earlier, everything was done by horses. We did all the cropping. We used to grow all our own potatoes and vegetables, and we were quite self-sufficient. Potatoes and carrots and peas and that in the field.
Did you sell?
Because during the war, everyone started to plough bits, and we carried on for quite a while after the war to more or less be self-sufficient, really. We always grow a few acres of corn as well, and for bedding we used to cut the bracken and off the bottom of the fell and roll it down the banking and bring it home for bedding during winter.
The two women were quite remarkable, really, because Miss Butchart had also been to agricultural college, and between them they were very well qualified in more modern farming methods. For example, they used to make hay pikes. After the hay had been cut, instead of rowing and gathering and bringing into the barn, they left these huge pikes, and they'd leave them out there for a period of time, and then they'd actually go with a horse, because it was horse and cart time, and winch them on to this trailer.
What have been the greatest challenges for you living up here then?
I suppose money, really, isn't it? Money, making ends meet, isn't it? And wondering how you got it. I've been really, really lucky, because things have always turned out. And somehow something always happens, and you can manage.
Would you say it's a good life? Do you enjoy it up here?
Yeah, it's what I'm used to, but it's hard work, I suppose. If you want to do it, you're tied. You can't go away when you want to. But no, I'm lucky to live up here. It's a way of life, and you haven't to want a lot more. You've just got to be satisfied, haven't you?